Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Performance Analytics Academy, formerly known as Performance Analytics Office Hours. For those of you who are new, we're really happy to have you. And for those of you who are returning, welcome back. Glad to see you in 2021. And before we get started with our main presentation, and then we'll go into the Q&A, a couple logistic things to run through. So first of all, this session is for you. So as we are going, we do have a presentation prepared, but please ask questions. Please use the Q&A functionality. That makes sure that we can address every question that comes in. So please use that as we're going, and we will try to answer every question we can. This session is being recorded, and we will post it to YouTube and into the community either later today or tomorrow. But if you do have an issue with being recorded or your message is being recorded, let us know. This will be posted publicly later on. Today we have myself as Adam Stout. I am hosting, and we'll go through this introduction. And then we have our speaker, Thomas Davis, who we've heard from in the past, has a great presentation for us. And then we'll all be here to answer your questions. If you haven't visited it before, where you signed up for the session, where you got the link for it, in the community, you can access all of our previous recordings and the presentations attached. And you'll also see where our future presentations are. Right now, we don't have mapped out. We haven't published everything going forward, but you will see what the next few sessions are going to be planned out for. If you like to have the information pushed to you a little bit more, one, make sure you subscribe to this so that you'll get an update every time we add the new presentation. But you can also subscribe to the link, the bit.ly link that you see there. You can subscribe to that and to our YouTube playlist. So when we do post these sessions, you'll get a notification from YouTube and can stay current with all the office sessions, whether you're here live or not. And as we go, we are supplementing a lot of training that's out there. So if you have not accessed it, please take a look at Now Learning. Lots of great content out there around, including all the K20 labs are still there. Just lots and lots of hands-on training that's accessible for you. We complement that, but it doesn't, our academy won't replace what's available for you. And speaking of that, there are other ServiceNow academies out there, including Virtual Agent and Mobile App Academy. They're getting ready to publish their schedules for 2021, but generally they're about on the same pace that we have of every other week. If you are interested, if you're exploring anything with Virtual Academy or doing anything with mobile, I highly suggest you start going to those academies too, or catch up with them on YouTube, like we have posted. Lots of great content. These have been going on for a year or so. So there's lots of back sessions that if you want to catch up on, and then going forward, again, those academies go about every 2 weeks. And the community article there will keep you updated as well. All right, and with that, I want to hand it over to Thomas, who is going to give us a great briefing about notifications and scheduling and performance analytics and reporting and all the different options you have available to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Adam. I appreciate it. Can you hear me?
Sounds great. I see your deck. I think we're all set.
All right, we're good to go. Okay, here, I need to move this. Sorry about that. It always does that. Okay. Thanks everyone for joining. Like Adam said, today we're going to talk about some scheduling notifications in performance analytics and reporting. Some of this, some of you may have done before. Some of you may have not. Hopefully we'll give you some information that you can use when you make determinations on whether or not you actually want to do this inside of the platform. So we have some demos of quite a few things, and then of course some extras that we'll have at the end, some things that you might be able to use, and then like Adam said, we'll follow it up with any questions that you all may have. So let's get started. So right out the gate, let's just first say that, you know, keeping data in ServiceNow is ideal, and that's always the first recommendation that you will get from us. That makes sure that you're actually able to maintain the data and the security of it, and it's not stale in any form or anything like that. So we also recognize that there's situations that that you need to actually move it somewhere else if someone needs to get an email or exporting the data or whatnot. But the biggest thing is, if you can avoid that, try to avoid that. If you can't, then we're going to show you a couple ways that you can actually get some data out and via notifications today. So what should you schedule? There's obviously a lot of information that you can schedule inside of the platform. Some of the things that we're going to talk about today is, how do I schedule a report? Have you ever thought about combining multiple reports into one schedule if someone is receiving more than one? Scheduling indicators, actually, setting it up where someone can get a real quick snapshot of an indicator via email. Thresholds and targets, we know that those are out there, and you can set those up on the Analytics Hub and on some time series indicators themselves. But we'll talk about how you can actually send notifications out for that. And then a scheduled email summary, which basically talks about incorporating multiple indicators into one particular email, and gives a quick snapshot of that. So understand that when you export data out of the instance, it's immediately stale, it's less secure, and difficult to take action on. So try as much as you can to pull whoever this data is going to, pull them back into the instance to actually do anything with the data, or to dissect it or anything of that nature. So here's some methods, and these are the methods that we'll talk about today that you can actually, schedule some notifications. So again, schedule reports, these are sent regularly in emails to specific users or groups or email addresses. And then like I said, you can combine those. So if you have multiple reports that are going to a particular user or group or whatnot, you can bring all those together by adding additional reports to that. And then, of course, indicators, to have a quick snapshot of that indicator and the numbers of what that indicator is at that moment. You can do that in email as well. And then thresholds, define a normal range of scores for an indicator and alert whenever that changes or an event occurs, such as it reaches an all-time score or low. And then targets. So if you set goals for your organization that you want them to achieve, you can set targets and then, of course, notify if and when those have been met or have not, depending on the way that you want to look at it. And then, of course, scheduling the email summary, which again is taking multiple indicators and combining them into one email with snapshots of each of those indicators with, of course, links to get directly to them as well. So that's what we're going to demo today. And then we'll have some more advanced sort of extras after the demos of some things that you may have thought about before, didn't quite know how to do it. And these are based off of questions that we have gotten on the community. So with that, again, this is what we're going to demo. So we're going to get directly into the demos today, just to make sure that we give you a lot of good demos and good information that you can take away from it. So the first thing, like we said before, schedule reports. So there is a ServiceNow doc that is out there, and the link is there for, to schedule a report. And, please pay attention to the roles that are required in order to do this. They're there right there on that screen as well. So you need to make sure that if you're going to do that or someone else is going to do that, they're going to need any one of those roles or combination of. Schedule reports are rendered in the emails in 2D by default. That format provides clear representation of the reports that contain a large amounts of data. But if you do need to change it, an administrator can switch it to 3D. And there is a glide record out there that actually allows you to do that. So the use case that we're going to do here for this particular demo is management's asking for a daily email with an attached report to be delivered by email. So here you can see the actual steps in order to make that happen. So obviously you want to go to the reports and you want to find a particular report that you want to schedule. And in this case, we're going to do open incidents not updated in the last 30 days by assignment group and state. So here we're looking for that particular report. And when we find it, we'll go into it. And once the report is up, the actual share button that is at the top of the screen is where we'll actually get to the icon there. And we'll actually be able to get the schedule from there. So again, this may be something that you're all familiar with. Here, we're going to pick a particular user. And for this case, it's going to be Scott Sexton. And he wanted his to come through at around 6 o'clock in the morning daily. And then we're just going to create a subject for him and then a little bit of an introductory message. So Scott will know what he's getting once it's delivered to his email. And that's really it as it relates to scheduling. And again, there are some other features like conditional and omit if there's no records, meaning if there's no records for that particular report, then don't send it. Conditional would allow you to do some scripting, and you can get into some more advanced things. But for this particular use case, it's simply just I need the report daily at 6 a.m. and that's it. So that's what this particular demo allows us to do. So how do we validate that what we did actually works? So if you navigate to system definition scheduled jobs, you'll actually be able to find that particular job that is out there. And because of the way that it's actually sorted there, you can see that the job is right there. So we'll click into that, and then we'll go ahead and execute it. And after we execute it, the easiest way or the way to go to it is actually go to the system logs and then look for emails. So in the navigator here, we're going to look for that, and we're going to go to those emails. And you can see here that the email has actually sent. And if we open that up, you can preview the HTML body, and it'll actually show you that there is a report that you requested. And if you'll notice that there's an attachment that's attached to it as well. And if you open that up, it'll actually show you the report that was sent to them, which looks exactly like what we saw earlier when we scheduled that. So this is the fastest way to determine whether or not it worked. So obviously, I would recommend that whenever you create these, maybe set it up initially for yourself and just send a test one to make sure that it goes through before you actually send it out to someone else. So that's scheduling a report. Very simple. Hopefully you all utilize it if you need to. So some additional information on scheduling it. So there are some different formats that you can use, PDF, Excel, PNG, or CSV file. And you can select that when you're actually creating it. And there is a note there that it's not possible at this moment to schedule calendars, maps, pivot tables, and single score reports. That may be in the future. And then obviously, if you need to unschedule a report, just go to reports, schedule reports, and look for the particular one that you did, and then just delete it from the actions on the selected rows. That's the fastest way that you can do that. So, and also additionally, so Adam created a community article last year called Embedded Reports as Images in Schedule Report Emails. That's a very powerful feature that is out there that Adam wrote up. So that link there will actually take that to you. So if you'd like to have actual, images in the actual body of the email rather than necessarily having to attach a PDF that they have to click on, or if you want them both, you can definitely do that as well. And Adam has, like I said, a great article that'll walk you right through that.
And to add into that, in Paris, that's actually a feature that you can embed. There's an option to embed the PNG in the email. Prior to Paris, you need to use the solution we wrote up.
Okay.
And if you want to embed there's also another related link you'll see that is how to embed a list view into the report, which is not out of the box, but you can easily do.
Okay. Yeah, I have that later on, Adam. So yeah, appreciate it. Okay, so the next thing we're going to talk about is combining scheduled reports. So again, the use cases here is, somebody has multiple reports and they're getting those daily, 2, 3, 4 of them or whatnot. And the idea is if it's going to the same person at the same time, then why not put them all into one email rather than having multiple of those. So again, there is a scheduled doc. It happens to be the same one as before that talks to that. And please make sure that you pay attention to the roles that are required in order to do this to make sure that if you need to do it, you can. So simple enough if you need to do it. So again, you'll just want to go to the schedule report. And what we're going to do is we're going to find one that's already out there. And in this case, schedule execution of incidents by priority. That's already scheduled. And if you'll notice, there is an include with. So here, all we're going to do is we're going to look for another report that we want to send with it. And here, it's the one that we scheduled before. We're going to take that and we're going to add it to it. And then you just simply update it. And now that particular report is added. But there's another report that we want to add to that as well. So we're going to add this particular report to that same one that we set up and hit update. And now what we have is there's actual 3 reports that will go out the same way. So if we go in and look, and you'll see down in the related list there that both of those reports have been added to that one particular one that we created. And we went ahead and executed that. So that's how you add it. It's just simply that include with box that you have on the form. So if there's any that you need to add, by all means do that. That definitely will make things a lot cleaner for the user rather than having multiple emails come in, especially if they're coming in around the same time. So how do we validate that? We obviously do that the same exact way as we did before. I've already executed that. So we'll go to system logs and we'll go to emails. And again, we'll go to the same particular one that we had, the daily report. And now you'll notice when we go in there, there's 3 attachments that are attached there. So the very first report that we did, and also we've attached the other reports. And again, you can preview that HTML body. And if you wanted to click on all of those, we'll go ahead and open all of those. So you actually see that you have the ability to attach those, and we'll open all those up. So each one of them attached, there's the first report, and then our second report, and then our third report. So again, what we've done is we've taken 3 emails and combined them into one for the user. And again, it makes it just a lot cleaner, and there's no sense in sending multiple emails if we can do it all in one. Okay, so the next thing we want to talk about is scheduling thresholds. So again, this is something that hopefully everybody is using. If you're not using thresholds, I definitely recommend that you read up on those and use those for your organization. So thresholds can be added as a personal threshold or even a global one. Personal threshold is visible only to that user that creates it, and it appears as a light gray dotted line that we'll see. And then a global threshold is visible to all users and appears as a dark gray line. Personal thresholds appear only on the Analytics Hub and KPI details. Global thresholds also appear on time series widgets if the widget is configured to do that. And our use case here is to help drive proactive actions. A specific user needs to receive a notification when a threshold value is met. So that's what we're going to do here. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to go to the Analytics Hub, and we actually want to find a particular indicator that we want to look at. And in this case, we want to look at the number of open incidents. So I'm going to search for the number of open incidents and open that up in the Analytics Hub. Once we get there we go. And then the threshold icon is up in the top right-hand corner, and it's right there. And we're going to click on that, and we're going to create a threshold. And we're going to go ahead and make this personal and set it as more than, and I give it a number there of 3,200. And we'll notice that a line, that gray dotted line appears. So that is a personal threshold. That's how you add that. Simple enough, not that difficult. So if we want to validate that that actually is going to send information to me, we'll go to schedule jobs under system definition, and then you look for check PA. And there's 2 of them that'll come up, PA targets and PA thresholds. And if you'll notice, all you have to do to test this is set a date back before today. And I just went to the day prior. And then when you refresh list the way that I did, it automatically runs it. And you'll notice that the next action has actually went to that. And now I'm going to go to system logs and emails, and I'm going to look for that particular one. And you can see there that they have sent to me. So that lets me know that the threshold that I created has sent to me. And if I open that up and I look at preview HTML body, it'll show that the score for that particular indicator for January 11th exceeded that 3,200 threshold that I set, and that's the email that you'll receive. So I understand that these videos are moving pretty fast, but the directions, always remember the directions are there. So, you know, if you can follow those, you can go right through these videos and set the same information up for yourself. So one of the other great things about being able to set up notifications is you can also generate events that can send notifications off of thresholds. And what that does is it could give you the ability, for an example, if you wanted to initiate a workflow, to create an incident of some sort, or to have someone follow up, or if you wanted to initiate a message to go to a Slack channel, you could do that with an event. And Adam actually has a really good office hours that he talked about, burst reporting, and there'll be a link in that as well where he actually shows some things that are similar to that. But again, there's information in the docs that you can actually look up to give you more information about that. But you really can make, you know, a notification do some really, really dynamic things if you, you know, so desire and need that. So some additional information about, you know, scheduling a threshold. So again, those are the roles. And, you know, if you want to, you know, apply to a global threshold and also the personal, then, you know, you can configure the message content for that. You can modify the PA threshold reach notification if there's more information in there that you would like to have. And the way that you do that is simply going to the navigator and looking for performance analytics indicator thresholds. And then you can actually edit that and change some information. You can add users to it. So if someone was to create a global threshold, when you create, if someone was to create a personal threshold, when you create that, whoever creates that personal threshold, their name is actually added as the owner. And because that means that's the only person that it's going to go to. But if there were some particular reason that someone created a personal threshold and someone else, a coworker or someone said, hey, I'd like for that same one to be delivered to me, you can actually go into the threshold and remove the name out of the owner, and it will it'll bring, and you save it, it'll bring up a users related list where you can actually go in and add users to that. So that's there by default for global, because that's where you would expect to add multiple users. But again, if you created a personal threshold and somebody said, hey, is there any way I can get that same notification? You do have the ability to do that, okay? So next, let's talk about scheduling targets. So again, do take notice of the roles that are required in order to do this. And there is a performance analytics doc that is out there that talks about targets and also talks about how to schedule that. You can set a target value for indicators. You can have the targets apply only to you can have it applied to a specific breakdown element on the analytics hub if you chose to do that. Or you could have it, you know, overall. In our example, we're actually going to attach our particular target to a breakdown element. So let's go ahead and do that. So the use case here is as the network manager, you need a target set of 325 of number of open incidents starting on January 1st, 2021, and a notification to let them know when that target is breached. So that's what we're going to do here. So again, we're going to go to the analytics hub. And we are going to bring up the same indicator that we looked at before, which is number of open incidents. And then when we go into there, we'll actually change our, we'll click and we'll get in there. The first thing that I want to do is I actually want to change the breakdown. So I'm going to go in there under assignment group and I'm going to look for network. And once I select that, then now I want to actually go and set up my breakdown. The breakdown icon is in the top right. We'll click that and we're going to make that a global one. And we're going to set it for 325. And we're going to select the day of when we want it to actually start. And we save, and then you'll notice that a dark gray line actually appears. So that has actually applied that particular target to that. So again, we'll go to performance analytics. And then we'll look for targets. And what I want to do is I want to actually add some people to actually get that notification as well. So that was a global one. So you'll notice that the owner is empty. So I have the users related list. And I'm going to go in here and Adam and myself are going to go ahead and get notifications for this because Adam is the manager of network in this example. We won't put that on you for real, Adam. Okay. So next thing that we want to do is actually validate that we've been able to do that. So the way that we validate that, again, we're going to go to scheduled jobs and we're going to look for the system scheduler for scheduled jobs. And we're going to search for PA targets, check PA targets. And I don't type that whole thing out because it'll come back. And there's PA targets. And again, I'm just going to set a day in the history. The 11th. And then when I refresh that form, you'll notice it says ready. When I refresh the list, that date does change. And then now I'll go to system logs and look for emails. And we'll go ahead and we'll find that those emails are there. Not quite yet, but we'll refresh. And there's the one that came to me. I'm sure that Adam's will come there, or there's Adam's as well. So his came a little bit earlier than mine. So if we click into it, we can look at the information. And again, we can preview that HTML body. And there it says, it gives us our information and lets us know at that actual breakdown element that it was breached. So that's how you validate it. So again, always validate. And again, just like thresholds, if targets were set and there were particular events that you would like to trigger from that, you can do that as well. So workflows and things of that nature can definitely be generated from notifications. Okay. So the next thing we'll talk about is how do I schedule an indicator? So maybe there's an indicator that you have, and rather than someone having to go to a dashboard and see that particular indicator in a widget, you know, a manager or director or whatnot just says, hey, can you just send me a real quick snapshot of that information? We have the ability to do that. So there is a doc there that you can actually use to help you with that, and do take notice of the roles that are required in order to do that. And then, you know, our use case for this is your manager would like a PDF export of an indicator email to them. So that's what we're going to do here. So here we're going to navigate to performance analytics and then look for automation, and then look for scheduled indicators. And it's coming. There it is. So we're going to click on that, and we're going to go ahead and click new, and we're going to fill in some information, and we're going to call it what we have here, KPI detail, number of open incidents. And then we're going to find that particular indicator right there in the indicator field. Once the slow typer is done. There we go. So we'll look for that particular indicator. And then we want to make sure that it is active and it's going to run daily. And we're going to have that come through at about 6:15 in the morning. And we're going to send that to Scott Sexton. So if there was a group, you know, you could send it to groups as well. If there was an external email, you could add that as well. We're going to add in a subject, just simply saying KPI detail, the number of open incidents. And then we'll give him an introductory message so he'll know what he's looking at it when it comes in. And you can add that there. So you can add in really whatever you want. And you can notice that you definitely have the ability to change that font to do whatever. If you wanted, you know, a bulleted list, you want to change the font, you know, any of that stuff is there available. If you wanted to change the orientation, you could do that. And we're going to go ahead and click submit. And then you can see that it's there now. We'll go back into that scheduled indicator, and we're going to go ahead and execute it. And that's all it takes to schedule a indicator. So now let's go validate what we did works. So for validation, because we already executed it, we're just going to go directly to the system logs, look for emails, and then we're going to find the one that has a subject, my daily KPI, and there it is. And you'll notice that here it is, and we have an attached PDF there. And when we click on that and open it, you'll see that it has a quick snapshot of that particular indicator, information about it, when it was done, and information like that. So again, if someone doesn't have the time per se to go to a dashboard or look up a widget or whatnot, this is a fast way to get them that information. But again, as much as possible, we want to make sure that we pull them back into the platform to do any further research with that data. So the next thing is scheduling an email summary, which is basically taking multiple indicators and pulling them into one particular email to give a quick snapshot of that. So again, there is a doc that you can go to that'll walk you through that, and do pay attention to the roles that are required. And our use case is email a set of users a summary for a set of indicators. Very simplistic use case, but one that probably could be used for quite a few people. So let's go ahead and do that. So again, we're going to go and look for performance analytics, automation, and then within the automation list, there's something called email summaries, and we'll get to that. There we go. email summaries, and we're going to go ahead and click new to create a new one. And information is very similar to what we did prior. So my daily KPI update is the name of what we're doing, and then, you know, give a description of what that is. Highly recommend using descriptors whenever you see them. Sort of a pet peeve for me. So if you have one, help the next person out. They may not have to create something new if you've already done that for them. And we're going to make sure that it is active, it's daily, and we're going to run it around 06. And then now we're going to actually add a condition to it so we can look for particular indicators. So here we're going to look for name, and we're going to say name starts with, and then we're going to do percentage of incidents. So what this is going to do is it's going to look for any indicators that are out there that have that as the beginning of their particular name. We'll go ahead and click, actually we're going to right click and hit save so we can stay in the form. And now you'll notice that we have a users list, and we're going to go in there and go ahead and add, again, Adam and myself, so we can get that daily email letting us know what these particular indicators are doing. And then you click save, it'll take us back to our form, and then we're going to go ahead and execute that. So notice that the one that we created is now in the list, so it's there. So let's go validate it. So again, very simple. We're going to just go to system logs and look for emails, and we'll find the one that we just did. So we're going to open up and look for where the subject says my daily, and there they are. There's Adam's. We'll go ahead and click into his and open up that record, and we'll preview that. And here you'll see all of those indicators are right there that actually start with that as the beginning of their name. So again, really good information that comes with it. So again, if there's multiple indicators that somebody needs, a quick way of getting those to them if they don't want to look at the dashboards. And it could also be a situation where those indicators are on multiple dashboards rather than a particular dashboard. So it may require going to multiple dashboards to get that. So if someone wanted to see all of those quickly, you could do a scheduled email summary. Okay, so some more advanced things, so some extras. So sometimes you may need a script, you know, to script a condition to get you more fine-tuned information inside of a schedule report or a list. So in this case, basically what this script is saying is that, hey, I don't want you to return a report if it doesn't have more than 5 records. You could change that number to be whatever. The omit if empty is already there. So if you only want to have the report sent if there's more than 0, then you can do that without a script. But here's a script that is commonly asked for in the community of, you know, how do I make it where a schedule report will only come to me if it breaches a particular number. So for list, this is a script that we have that you can use. Very similar script for a chart. But it's a little bit different because of in the list one, we had to make sure that we accounted for the ACLs, which you can see here. In a chart, we don't have to worry about that per se. But again, this is the same type of script. It only is going to send if it's, you know, 5 or beyond. So if whatever that magic number is for you, you can utilize one of these scripts and put that into it. If you don't have to script, we always recommend not doing that. But if you do, we know that there's situations that are out there that you need to. So, you know, again, here is a script that you can use to sort of get yourself started, or it'll actually work directly the way that it is now. It's going to look for the particular report name and table. And if it was a source, it will do that as well. So great little script that you can utilize. So another thing that's out there, and Adam wrote this blog as well, is if you wanted to embed a list report into an email, and Adam had referenced this earlier in the call. So here is a great blog that will walk you through that. And again, you can see here, this is a little video of what that email would look like. And you have the ability right there to have that list directly into the email. So if that's something that you need or someone has ever asked you for, definitely check out that community blog. And Adam, as always, walks you through that really well, and you'll be able to have that set up and working for yourself as well. So, in conclusion, using notifications and performance analytics and reporting is very powerful if done correctly and managed appropriately. One of the things that you have to make sure that you think about is, whether or not things are being scheduled on top of one another. So maybe not every person in your instance has the ability to schedule reports or any one of these things. I would highly recommend that it's not something that's opened up to all, because you'll find out very quick that you have lots of scheduled jobs that are potentially running on top of each other, or somebody has scheduled a report that's bringing back quite a bit of large amounts of data. And, those things could definitely have an impact on the performance of your instance. So pay, really quick, really big attention to who you allow to do it. And if you can offset those jobs, I would definitely recommend that you do that as well, to make sure that they're not on top of each other. And here we've attached some very useful links. Some of those were in the demos. And then of course there's some extra ones. And then the burst reporting office hours that Adam did a few weeks ago is another great one for some even more advanced things. So again, some of these, hopefully are new to some of you all, and you haven't used them before, or you have, but you haven't used them at another level, maybe the combining of reports or the scheduling of indicators and things of that nature. So, if you can utilize these things, they're there, they come out of the box in the platform, definitely take advantage of those and, schedule some great things. But again, let's always remember to try to pull them back into the instance for any sort of dissection of the data, as opposed to doing it all directly from an email that they get. So with that, questions?
We'll take questions on anything having to do with the topics we talked about today, scheduled indicators, scheduled reports. And if you have any other questions, we're happy to answer those as well, about anything dealing with reporting, performance analytics or reporting. Well, is a question. If you want to put it in the Q&A, we'll go over it, or I can, if you're comfortable. Okay, John, it looks like you were raising your hand. If you want to ask your question, we're happy to take it.
Yeah, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yep.
So scheduling thresholds. So there's a job running out there, and scheduled job to check PA thresholds.
Mm-hmm.
And is that active by default, or do we need to work with our admins to have that activated? Because I can't get the scheduled jobs with my access.
Yeah, so there probably is. Does it say ready when you see it in that list? Does it say ready?
When I see,
well, you can't see your schedule,
or you
jobs.
Can't even get to the check PA thresholds to see if there's ones out there.
I'm a PA admin, and report admin, but that scheduled jobs is something for somebody with greater access, I presume.
It is active by default.
Okay.
The warning I will have is I believe it's active by default at midnight UTC.
Okay.
So I get all of my threshold notifications at 3 p.m. Pacific, which is not the most ideal time necessarily. So you may want to look at that.
Okay.
Although I think with some of the things with the thresholds, especially the job's running. Anybody who sets it should happen. You can go look if you're curious if it's working. I mean, just go set a threshold. I have a test one that I get every day. That its number of open incidents is greater than 2. This happens to be mine because I have never had a day where my number of open incidents was less than 2. Someday. But you certainly can. You can test that. You can go look at your thresholds and see if somebody's already getting it. Sign one up for you just to make sure.
I set one up based on your demo, so I did it on test. So we'll see what happens.
Well, on test or your email, one thing to be careful of is on a lot of our subprods emails turned off.
Yeah, they kept it on for people like me.
Perfect.
So
okay, it's just something to be aware of. If you are developing on it, then you can always go look at sys emails if you're an admin. So people in your situation, that's common, right? Like I don't have admin on production, but in my subprod, it is something that we just have to work with. Buy donuts, whatever it takes for your admins to give you admin on a subprod. Donuts have worked for me in the past.
Okay. I'll try.
So you can see some of that data, because you can't do everything that we need to do. Production's one thing, but on a subprod, you need to have access to use all the tools, or you're just gonna be limited. You won't be able to do everything we need to do.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you. All right. And Thomas, we have a bunch of questions coming in Q&A.
So the next question is, can a PA super user do this without having admin create the schedule? So if you're a PA admin, and let me just go back, and if are you talking about, you're talking about create a schedule. Let's go back to that and look at those. Because I think it may be one or a conjunction of one more. There we go. So to create scheduled reports, you must have both the report user role and either report admin or report scheduler role. And when you say PA super user, I don't know if that is something that a group or whatnot, but I think you have to have one of these roles, because there's situations where there may be PA admins that are out there, but they may not be able to actually schedule reports. And again, I think that's dependent upon how you have your role set up, and the groups, I guess, that someone would be in, whether or not the roles are in there. So I don't know if that necessarily answers your question. And Adam, I don't know if there's something that you want to add to it, but.
Well, I mean, I'll add. So there is a difference between report admin and PA admin. PA admins don't inherit everything with report admins. I think most of us, if I'm a PA admin, I'm a report admin as well, but they are two different roles. But ostensibly, every you don't need admin to do what we talked about today. Now, to go view the sys emails, to go view, did the email go out, to customize a template, those things you do need admin for. I recommend doing that on a subprod. But to schedule a report, to schedule an indicator, to schedule the email summaries, all of that is PA admin and report admin. If you have those two, you're going to be able to schedule everything that we went through today. I mean, that should all be in there.
Okay, so the next one is how to report on multi-report variable set entries. Very challenging. I understand right now you can only do it via database view. Is there any hope that Quebec will offer a very better solution to handle this issue? And he adds a little bit more. The challenge is I want to see the variables for each row's content as separate lines in a list report. Currently solution I have read about where you want to see the SC task content under rhythm generates negative or repetitive rows of the same variables content. So feel your pain there, John and Adam. I don't know if you've heard if anything in Quebec is going to do that, but I have to wonder if the same sort of way that we did with the surveys, being able to actually sort of normalize that data, if we could potentially do the same thing with some of that variable data, if it could be built out in the database view, perhaps that's a solution, unless there's something else you can think of, Adam.
So the what's in Quebec will get announced very, very shortly. There might be some improvements in variable reporting. Although I do not know if it covers multivariable blocks. There are some improvements in that area, but I don't know if they hit reporting yet. I think where I saw it was that Flow Designer is going to have better support for them. So there are some improvements. I don't know that they're going to get you everything you want to be to in Quebec, but we are absolutely working on that type of functionality. But if it's not in Quebec, I understand it's quite a ways away for everybody. Database views should be able to handle it if I need to right now. The other ways that I handle it, it's not for those, is to create some shadow tables so they are easy to report on. I use the multivariable. I do this with value pairs as well. I have the UI. I want a really nice, clean, slick UI in my catalog item, or whatever the case may be, whether it's a list, whether it is value pairs or the multi-row value sets. And what I do is when those change, I actually populate a child table which I can then easily report on. So my users don't know I have this table, but I have another table and a business rule that's slicing and dicing that stuff for me because I know I want to report on it. That's not a perfect solution. Again, we're working on it. You'll see some improvements, but I'm not sure that in Quebec we'll get everywhere that you want to be. But you definitely want to pay attention to the release notes, which I believe are going to get published very shortly. I think we'll start seeing all the announcements. I believe Quebec is targeted to be released for general availability in March, but all the announcements and all that stuff is happening very, very soon. And we will be doing a couple sessions in the next couple months to go over all the improvements. We can't talk about everything that's in there because it's not released yet, but I will just say there's lots of great stuff in here. Everybody on this call is going to be very, may not do absolutely everything you want to do, but I know there's a lot of things in here that a lot of you have been asking for. So Quebec is going to be a great release for all of us.
So Adam, further down, John asked the follow-ups on the shadow tables, and he was curious: is there anything out there that a write-up or whatnot that's on that for the ability to do it?
Oh, sure. So the most similar write-up that I've seen that I did had to do with reporting on lists. So we can add that to the recap and we post it in the community. But if you there was a series we did on conquering challenging reporting. I know I have the word conquering in it. And we go over how do you report on lists, because to me, in my mind, at least, the lists and multi-row variables are very similar in challenge. Really nice UI, difficult to report on. And so we do walk through how I take a list and create my shadow table. So I would walk through that. And it should get you pretty close to what you're looking for.
Okay. So next, Lisa asks, are we able to customize all those email notifications just like any other email notification? For example, if we'd want to add a few sentences, format the text or whatnot. Yes, you can, format those notifications when you send out the scheduled indicators or scheduled email summary with multiple indicators. When that is edited and there is the ability right inside of that email to edit that. So if I actually go back here, let me go back to this one and we'll let it get to the end here and play it. You'll actually see, so you can see, notification preferences and things. You can actually click on that and make some changes, but understand that when you do it for those, that it's global. So it's going to change that particular, the way that it comes out for everyone that has one set out up there. Obviously for text and adding lines of information into the body or any of that, I mean, you can do that on any one of these scheduled notifications. But if you do make, cosmetic or whatnot, or add additional information to the scheduled indicator or scheduled email summary, it will make that sort of uniform for everyone that creates one going forward. And then also any of the existing ones that are out there.
And I want to add on to that. So all that's true. Of all the scheduled reports, all the scheduled things that we went through, reports, indicators, stuff like that, the email summaries that you just showed, Thomas, those are my favorite, because I do have a favorite, because the rest of the stuff I really have to worry about data getting stale and data security. It's true for email summaries too, but email summaries I find to be super powerful because I'm not sending out a list. I'm not sending out too much data, but it's very tight and concise. And I'm getting 5 really key things for what I'm seeing here with the link back into the instance. And this data is all aggregated daily as well. So it's not like show me my open incidents in real time, because you can't have real time in a report. But super powerful, super drives action. All of this stuff came before we had the improved mobile experience. So if you are trying to do something like this, I would actually look at maybe at least in addition to this, doing a mobile dashboard, which we went over a few months ago, and there's an office hour session on that, but do a mobile dashboard where I put these 5 indicators on there, because then it can be real time. I am getting this all the time. I'm in the instance, it's secure. So I think mobile is something I definitely want to lean on, but if I had to go to the scheduled things, this is a great compromise where I am pushing it out. And I do have a challenge for everybody on the call. as we're going through, a lot of people on the call. So this is my favorite view, my favorite scheduled report or scheduled notification that goes out. It can be customized. I find it kind of bland at this point for what we're seeing. My challenge for everybody to get your fingers dirty, get your hands dirty on this is on one of your sub prods or in a developer. Again, anything you want to test out and just see how it works. Everybody can go to developer.servicenow.com and get their own personal instance, right? It's free. Go get your own personal instance. You can play with it. As long as you use it, you keep it. And if not, we'll retire it, but you can go get it. Go build a custom notification. Go customize this so it's really engaging for your users. What else can I do? This is using just a little bit of CSS, but if you know some HTML, some CSS, you can really do some powerful stuff and build a template that's very engaging for your customers, branded, whatever you want to have. And I think that can really start changing. It can give people a better appreciation for what PA can do for me, because I think some of it's out of sight, out of mind. They're not seeing it, but when you can really drive this information to them in a way that's visually appealing, it can be incredibly powerful. So my challenge for you is go do that and go post some of that stuff into the community on this article. Let's share amongst all of us what we can do. All right, a few more questions. I will. There's one that's came in, and I'm sorry, I don't know who asked it. The anonymous, about formula indicators displaying yesterday as the day, even when they're real time. I believe formulas don't support real time. In general, we can check in the documentation, but I believe formulas just simply don't support real time. So I think that is expected. If that's not clear in the documentation, please put a case in. If you see something like that, ask in the community if somebody wants to come through. But if you think something's broken, don't be afraid. Support will kill me. I don't know if they're on, but don't be afraid to put a case in on support. By the way, in case anybody missed it, Hi has been renamed to support, so it's just support.servicenow.com. But ask in the community. Screenshots are great, and if it's just not working, if something's not, if what you see in the docs is not what you see, don't be afraid to put in support. Right, we're here to help you. We want to make sure that you're getting everything's working the way you think it should work.
Yeah, and the other thing to that also, Adam, with the formula indicator is, it's using, automated indicators, and it would be difficult or sort of impossible for a formula indicator to have real time, because you don't know when those indicators have been run. That's actually built out the formula indicator. So yeah, I think you're right. You can't have real time with formula.
Okay, a question, and a couple more questions. So I think we'll still have a little bit more time. If you have anything, please go ahead and throw it in. So a question came in about the shadow tables. So again, we'll add the link that walks you through it. But if you look at the conquering challenging reports for lists, that's where we talk about that technique on how we can do it. And a question came in about multiple drill downs and reporting. As we're going through, and you'll see this as we go through Quebec, we have more enhancements to the dashboards that we have today, but we are working on basically a completely new interface in workspaces, and you're going to see a lot of amazing things in workspaces, and it's amazing what we're being done in workspaces, and as we migrate to them. So analytics, we're putting basically most of our efforts. We're going to put most, or not all, but most of our efforts in improving workspace and tackling all those things that you've asked for. Like, how am I able to drill down on the different, on my different data sets? Right now, I can have multiple data sets, but I can only drill on one. How do I put context menus in and be able to have different drill downs, things like that. A lot of the visualization controls that you've been asking for, filtering improvements, lots of amazing stuff that is happening in workspace. And you're going to see the applications that you're using. We're going to see a lot more move of workspace. Not all of us are going to be able to move as soon as you upgrade to Quebec. Not everybody's going to move to workspace, and we're not going to move to workspaces just for analytics. But you're going to get what you want. But we're just going to need to all work together to get into the new environment of workspaces, and as these things collide. So again, I know, as I've seen everything in Quebec, I'm very happy with it. I can't wait to really get to use more of it. And I think you're going to see a lot of those things, and they are going to be coming further along. If they're not in Quebec, they will be in the future releases as well.
I was trying to get that link so I could put it directly in the
Oh,
chat, but
great.
I'll attach it to the.
And a question came in, which I think came in a few minutes ago, about the scheduling email notifications. Absolutely, you can brand them. You can brand them. You can theme them. You might only have one. I don't know if we can do multiple brands or multiple formats. I don't recall for the email notifications, but all of the notifications should be customizable, configurable. And again, I challenge all of you to go do that and show us, right? Share with everybody what you can do. I have seen some of you do that already, and it's amazing. It's awesome. And I'd love to, see what we can do. We don't have to be, don't be happy with just the plain text, right? Here's my report. What can we do to make it really engaging and look really nice? All of you have that you need admin to be able to do it. So on your subprod, hopefully you should have access to do it. Hopefully it should be something that's pretty simple to do. The documentation should be there for you. And I'm excited to see what all of you can do, if you don't mind sharing with the rest of us. Okay, looks like we're done with the questions. So I think we're ready to wrap up. So I'm going to take over sharing again. So thank you again, Thomas. Great session. Lots of comments coming in about how it's useful. And in the meantime, we'll see you again in 2 weeks. But in the meantime, if you have any questions, please post them in the community. And if you haven't been doing that, or you haven't been getting the answers that you've been looking for, I recommend taking a look at this article about how to write a great question, because when you write a great question, you're more likely to get great answers. A lot of us do it, but there's still some where I'm just not getting the help that I'm looking for. If you haven't read it, take a look through this, and it's going to help us help you. This session, and all the other previous sessions are posted in the community. So again, even if you register for this, go to the event, click on subscribe, and you'll get a notification every time we add new sessions on what we're going to do. Every time we post the recording in here, you'll get that session. If you would like to subscribe to the YouTube channel, and you'll get the notification as soon as we post it. What else do we want to talk about? This session came directly out of just a series of scheduled a series of community posts that we've been answering. So we wanted to address a lot of those in one session. What else? If you ask a question in the community, you're automatically asking for us to do it at office hours. But if you have something you'd like to see, please post it into this post about that we need your help. Let us know what we can do to help you. We'll prepare those sessions. In the next couple months, you are going to see some sessions. We're going to do some demos about these new features in Quebec, but we're happy to talk about whatever we can help you with. So again, we'll see you in 2 weeks. In the meantime, use the community, ask your questions. You don't have to save them all up for us now. Catch up on the previous office hours, now academies, and suggest those topics. If we're not hitting everything you want, like the multivariable rows, let us know. Put that in the idea portal. We absolutely look at the idea portal a lot to understand what should we be working on. Quebec's coming out. We're working on the next release now, so it's important to make sure you have those ideas in there. And if it doesn't make the next one, it can make the next one. Look at the idea portal. Submit your ideas and upvote ideas. The things that do get the most votes are things that we are trying to figure out how we can do them, how we can accomplish them. And of course, take some training. Nobody's taking all the training that's out there. So lots of free self-paced training for you now learning. Again, same thing. If you haven't taken virtual agent fundamentals, if you haven't taken ServiceNow fundamentals, if you haven't taken predictive intelligence fundamentals, if you haven't done mobile, lots of great stuff out there to really expand how you can serve your users. So lots of great stuff. Again, thank you, Thomas, for the great presentation, as always. And we look forward to seeing everybody in 2 weeks.